The NBA draft is just a couple of days away, so it's time for a mock draft. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed. I pick you number one, Michael.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and what the Sigma? I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As summer rolls around, a lot of sports stop. Well, FanDuel is there to hook you up. All customers get a boost or a bonus daily. That is right. There is something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms. So we're here. 3 days away from the NBA draft. Still working out I was going to say the kinks, but I probably don't want to go down that route, of how I'm going to finish off this week. What we're doing here is, as I was preparing this show, hey, you want to look at insight into the way sometimes this brain does or doesn't work. I was looking and I go, yeah, this is mock draft 4.0. And I go, why do I bother? Not why do I bother with life, not why do I bother with mock drafts, but why do we bother saying 4.0? Is there ever a 4.1? Is there ever a 4.2? It's 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. Is it just looking cool? Maybe I should do Roman numerals. Mock draft V. VI. IV. That's it. Man, my Roman numerals are down. Not good. Anyway. So that's just a random thought. So we're going to do a mock draft here, and I again, everything starts to come into focus with prospect evaluation. I'm always going to be a few weeks or months behind other people because I'm not paying that attention to the prospects during the NBA season. So I'm still making valuations and evaluations all the way up. Tomorrow, I'm going to be joined by ESPN's Kevin Pelton, and we're going to talk about his draft model, the hits and misses, the guys that are very high and seem weird to you or very low that seem weird to you, and talk about his process and the way that the stats bear out. And then we are going to have, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a full show on my big board, which is now out to 120 people, or if I just wind that into, let's call the next one Mock Draft 4.1, which will be the final mock draft. It'll be all 58 picks. It'll include initial adjusted dynasty tiers, and I probably will just merge the total 120 deep big board into that show as well. It'll be the pre-draft extravaganza, dynasty tiers, 58 pick mock draft, and big board, and it'll also include my predictions of what I think will happen, not on the way that I would do it. So that is coming up during this week. So now, this is the last one of the ones where I've started to look at my guys and move them around and go, you know what? Screw it. This draft's bad. Let's move guys around. Let's try and work out how it all plays out. Because like I said in the last one, people push back on it, as they always do. Not everyone. Most people agree. We're going to be wrong. I'll be wrong. You'll be wrong. NBA GMs will be wrong. Everyone will be wrong. Possible to get this all right in terms of picking the best players in order. And this draft is so weird. And again, the idea might be, well, this draft being so bad and weird, just take the best player available. And then the problem that you run into with that is, okay, who is the best player? Because I don't know. It's almost impossible to be able to judge that through this class. So it is very wild. So there are going to be players that you think should be top 5 that are in the 20s. There are going to be players that you think should be in the 20s that are in the top 10 in my picks. Whatever. That happens. Let's analyze it. 4.0 mock draft. So, let's start it off. Out of the mock draft that I did a week ago, which was 3.0, out of the 30 picks, I've got 13 of them in the same position. So a little bit of change. But I'm going to fly through these first 5 selections because I've got them the same. I haven't made a change in the top 5 here. Alex Sarr at number 1 to the Hawks, understanding fully that he is not going to go to the Hawks at number 1. Unless this is Paolo Banchero to the Magic level of deception, which it could be. He is going to Washington almost definitely. And I think the Hawks will be making a terrible mistake. But whatever. It happens. They're making a mistake, or I'm making a mistake, or somebody is. Sarr in Washington is really interesting because the position they need is center. He claims he's a 4. And Kyle Kuzma currently occupies that spot. He might not in a couple of weeks. I don't know. So that's, again, but he's got a priority that he wants to go to Washington, Alex Sarr. So has he heard something that he's going to be the 4? Again, bro, these players who go, no, I'm actually the 4. Okay, why don't you just actually play the position that makes you better, your team better, and will get you end up making more money? Like, what are we doing? Anyway, Alex Sarr, number 1. My number 2 also remains the same. Ron Holland was number 1 on a lot of boards before the season. Ron Holland has some shooting problems, but Ron Holland is a guy with positional value, size value, athleticism value, defense value. The shooting is not great, obviously. I think that he, as nearly every G League prospect can attest, and I'll talk to Kevin about this tomorrow, they'll get better when they get into the NBA. Whether they become good or not, different story, but they get better. And I think Ron's going to become significantly better. And if we're talking about a draft with a lack of stars, Holland's star upside is bigger than basically everyone's. I've got Sarr at 1 because I think that he's got that chance, but I don't have other guys there. So I'm taking Ronnie at 2. When you're the Wizards, I don't think that you have any ability to draft based on other players that are on your team. I don't care that they have Bilal. I don't care that they have Denny. I don't care that they have Kispert. I don't care that they have Poole. I don't care about any of those things. Because none of those players are players that you avoid drafting players in the same position. So I'm taking Ronnie at number 2. Ron Holland, the 2nd. This was a change in the last mock, and I'm keeping it here. Reed Sheppard at number 3. The statistical case for Reed is almost impeccable. Huge steals, great blocks, unbelievable threes. In low minutes, he's a very good passer. The size is not ideal. I think he works actually pretty well in Houston, who don't have, despite they're not a great team, but they don't have glaring needs either. And I just hope that that statistical dominance from Sheppard translates into on-court dominance. So I've got him at 3 as well. Again, number 4, I am keeping Nikola Topic there for the Spurs. It does appear that Topic is falling down the board. Okay, that's fine. The size is there. The passing ability is there. The assist generation is there. The negative wingspan is a problem. The shooting, I think, will end up being fine. I'm not 100% convinced on that, but I do think it will end up being fine. The free throw rate is solid. I think there's the makings of a. Listen, again, it feels, and I'm sorry to do this, but it feels lazy of me to say this, but like Goran Dragic as a player was always this guy who was, or even Mike Conley. Let's say Mike Conley, but Mike Conley's better. So I don't do your Eastern European, therefore you're the same. Let's do Mike Conley. A guy where he's a serviceable point guard who made one All-Star game late in his career where you go, this guy's pretty good, but I'm not sure he's ever going to be awesome. Conley is a little bit better than that and better than what I expect from Topic, but a player where you go, oh man, this guy's actually pretty solid. But is anyone excited about it? Like, probably not. Until like you're 10 years in and people go, yeah, no, he's actually really good and we love having him on our team. That's sort of where I see how Topic plays out. And then the 5th pick remains the same as I had it last time. I don't understand the full hatred of Tyler Smith in the draft universe. Now, I'm not completely on my own here and thinking that Tyler Smith could be a really good player, but there are others who have him outside the first round, outside the top 20. But of course, we've seen others have Ron Holland outside the lottery. There's just a lot of differing opinions. I think they're wrong because, of course I do, because that is what I think, but I just don't know. One of the only G League players to come out of the G League as a positive shooter. Yeah, there are some defensive concerns, but as a weak side rim protector, I think he's got that. There is a little bit of the Jalen Smiths in that do you play the 4, do you play the 5? I don't really know. But the shooting skill as a big man with 6'11 size and youth, and the numbers from him in the G League were really, really good. Yet he's been projected below guys with worse numbers. And to be honest, I obviously did it here as well with Ron Holland going ahead of him. But I don't understand the complete hatred of Tyler Smith. So I've got him at 5. I think that he would work very well in Detroit. Very well. But, that's what I think. And here's where the change comes. Because last time at number 6, is the pick we're doing now, I had big Rob Dillingham. Actually, little Rob Dillingham, but that sounds really offensive. Rob Dillingham, I had at number 6, but I have changed it up. And I am going off the board. This guy has been a very late riser in my process. I think he's got a chance to sneak into the lottery on draft night. But I'm going to take Carlton Bub Carrington. Bub is big. He's 6'5" as a point guard. Bub can run the pick and roll. And let's be honest, in this draft class, there's not many of those players around. Bub can put up triple doubles. And I know they've got LaMelo Ball, but also they don't have any other solid guards. Yes, Misic is there and Trey Mann is there. Who cares? I think Bub and LaMelo can play alongside each other easily. Bub, 23 usage in college. He does not need the ball in his hands the entire time. He can shoot, he can pass, he can dribble. I think he's going to be able to defend to a degree. And part of this is that me maybe more picking nits in some of the other prospects because I don't love them. But Bub's up there. I've moved him up to 6. But, this tier of players is very wide. Got about 8 or 9 guys or 7 guys in this area. And I've just moved Bub up to number 6. Just get a little bit sexy, a little bit wild with it. Let's recap the top 6. Number 1 was Sarr, 2 was Holland, number 3 Sheppard, 4 Topic, 5 Tyler Smith, and 6 coming into Charlotte is Bub Carrington. So that's a little bit of a surprise, I'm guessing. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. It's not a surprise that passion, drive, and patience is the formula for a winning championship because you've heard me tell you that before, but it's also what keeps your ride or die, aka your car, alive. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. I'm going to be real with you, eBay. I'm reading your copy here, but I'm just going to go a little bit off script because you know what? You don't have to treat your car like your number one ride or die. You don't have to treat it like a family member. You don't have to give it these sort of platitudes. It can just be your car that you spent a lot of money on, that is necessary for you to go about your life, and you want to make sure that A, it works, B, you're comfortable in it, C, it looks good. You can do all those things. And that's where eBay Motors comes in. You don't have to slavishly go across your car and have all these platitudes. Just, it's your car. Get the parts. eBay Motors does it. Wow, look at that. eBay Motors. I know that your ad is plastered around everywhere, and maybe this is not exactly what you want to hear, but who cares? Because this is great. eBay Motors is a great service, and getting parts for your car should not be as hard as it has been in the past. Over 122 million parts for your car on eBay Motors. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, you are going to get the right parts because if you don't, you get your money back. So keep your ride or die alive or keep your car running at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to US customers. Okay. Who's next on this little mock draft journey? Pick number 7. I think we're a little bit different in this one as well. Because last time at number 7, I had Matas Buzelis. I do not have Matas Buzelis here at Portland anymore. I've got Steph Castle. It is very hard to look at Castle and not think of the upside. What if he shoots? What if he learns how to shoot? That's great. But then I also, being pessimistic, will look at it and go, what if he doesn't? Then is it Isaac Okoro? Maybe. A point guard who's not really a point guard who can't shoot but can defend. Like that's Isaac Okoro. The age, the size, that's all great. The shooting is not. The usage is really not good. And there are a couple of things to look at. And this is why this draft, again, is weird. We can make arguments multiple directions. Well, Castle only had 22 usage because his team was so good that they didn't need to, he didn't need to run the show. He didn't need to do that because they had these other players there. You could make that argument, yes? So when he gets to an NBA environment, he'll be in a different role and he might explode. And then my counter argument to that would be, but the NBA team will be better than the Connecticut team. So, all right, let's see how that works. You could also make the argument that Castle was held back by the college scheme that Dan Hurley ran to get everyone involved and do the best for winning rather than highlighting his numbers. And I understand that. You could make that argument as well. But I'd also argue that the NBA team wants to win too. There are so many different ways to look at Castle, and there are certain college scheme things you can look at where you look at it and go, well, okay, there's a very clear reason, Kentucky guards, why this player is not putting up the numbers that we want him to. But under Dan Hurley, a guy that is universally praised for the way that he's able to structure his team and run his offense and defense, like it's hard for me to look at that and go, actually really suboptimal for their players. I think it's actually probably more likely to be the opposite, that running under Hurley with those teammates in a college environment makes a lot of players look better than they actually are. I think there's a real possibility of that, so that's a little bit of scariness there for me with Castle. And I'm all over the board with Castle. I could easily see him out of the lottery in my mind. He'll never go out of the lottery in real life, I know this. But I could easily see that being the case in terms of we do a redraft in 3 years and Castle's the 20th best player because nothing's good come out of it. He's a good defender, yeah, but. All right, so that's where I have some worries. But I have chucked him here to Portland. The reason, I know there's a lot of guards there. Scoot, Shaden, Simons, Brogdon. I know they're all there. And Castle claims that he wants to be a point guard. Cool, you can claim as much as you want, my guy. Doesn't mean you got to do that. But his defensive ability to play maybe in the Matisse Thybulle-ish role, or they move on from a Simons or whatever, could Sharp, Scoot, and Castle play together? I think probably yes. But also when I'm at pick 7 in this draft, I don't actually think that I'm going for home run hits. I think I just want someone who I maybe can be good enough to be a starter. Maybe. It's not that inspiring. Maybe I should have just taken Rob Dillingham, but to me, he would have been an awful fit. I couldn't have seen Rob Dillingham at number 7 to Portland with Scoot and Shaden there. And I don't think he's good enough to jump ahead of Tiers, but I do think that he's worth having in San Antonio. Because if you have worries about Dillingham and his size and his defense, well, one way to mitigate that is have potentially the potential greatest defender ever standing behind him. He's obviously not the greatest defender ever, Victor Wembanyama. Don't take that out of context. But I don't think we can sit here face-to-face, man-to-man, man-to-woman, man-to-whoever, and say that it's out of the realms of possibility that Victor could be that. So if you're going to pair a high-usage scoring guard with defensive liabilities with somebody, let's put him with the potential best defender over, let's say, the next 10 years in the NBA. The Spurs did draft Nikola Topic in this mock draft. They got pick 4 and 8. I have no problem with doubling up the same position. The odds are in an NBA draft that both guys don't turn into stars. There are pretty decent odds that one of them doesn't even turn into a starter. There are okay odds that neither of them are good. So having 2 shots at a position that's clearly a position of need, I think is okay. And they offer different skill sets. Topic is lower usage passing sort of a guard, bigger size. Dillingham shorter, high usage shot creator. And I think they can work together. I think they can play together. They can play alongside Vassell. They can play alongside Wemby. And if they both work out, you know what you're in? An actually really bloody great spot. Because what you can do, you can trade one. Or you can play them together. Or you can do a million different things. And Dillingham, along with Holland, are sliding a lot. Now, I think there's some of this there's a negative connotation associated with G League Ignite. And there was a little bit associated, I think, with Overtime Elite, which is where Sarr came from. And then went to Perth, and where Dillingham came from, and then went to Kentucky. I think there is a little bit of negativity surrounding those places. Rob, I've got listed as 6'3" there. He is shorter than Reed Sheppard. These heights are from when I created these initial draft prospect profiles, which were from Tankathon, which included the heights with shoes. High usage player, low minutes, high 3-point attempt rate, a scorer, not a bad passer. Player shape D'Angelo Russell. I like Dillingham, and I'm picking him at 8 to the Spurs. That is not what I had last time. Last time I had Castle going at 8 to the Spurs. This next pick does stay the same, so I'm not going to elaborate on it too much. I'm taking Donovan Clingan at number 9 to the Memphis Grizzlies. I go back and forth on this because I actually, yes, Clingan has got a relatively safe floor as a rim protector. I think he's got very limited upside. I think that there is potential problems with minutes that he plays. Offensively, I don't think he's ever going to shoot. I think he's going to be limited to one type of coverage defensively, and that is not a player that I would even ever entertain at number 1. Never. Not even in a draft like this. But the Grizzlies don't really have this strong center. But I'll also then my hooded Kermit comes in and goes, just play Jaren and Brandon Clark at the 4 and the 5, and then Vince Williams comes in and plays, and then you're looking all right. I go, yeah, because in the past, the Grizzlies have not wanted to play Jaren Jackson at center. This season, halfway through, they switched. And they went, no, we're playing Jaren at center. Let's go. We're playing him at center with Trey Jemison backing him up. And we're playing Brandon Clark next to him with Vince Williams at the 4 at times as well. And they played Jaren at center, I think, probably more than they ever have. So do they go back away from that and play Clingan and Jackson together? Some of the best rim protection you'll ever find. But I'm not sure. So I am putting Donovan here. I am very, very far from convinced. But I wouldn't take Clingan at 8. To the Spurs. I wouldn't take him at 10 to the Jazz. I would take him to the Bulls. Absolutely, I would take him. But this one is one where I'm not certain of it. but he's there. That's what I had last time. I had the same one at pick 10 for the Jazz, Isaiah Collier, another guy that I think is being a little underrated at the moment. I think he's got decent enough size. He's not massive, but decent enough size. The shooting's a concern, but he gets to the rim a ton, which is a huge skill. He finishes pretty well. I think the shooting will be better. I like the shiftiness. I love some of the passing stuff. I'm not certain that Keontae George is a point guard. I don't think they are either. But I know they just need extra options there. And I think Collier's been a little bit overlooked. Again, reports of him going in the 20s in drafts. And maybe that happens. You know who else went in the 20s? Like Tyrese Maxey. Got overthought. I could find examples in every single draft of players that get overlooked and turn out pretty good. I could find plenty of opportunities or plenty of situations where players get overlooked and they turn out to be bad. Cam Reddish. But I think at the moment we're overthinking Isaiah Collier a little bit. Pick 11. This guy slides down. He is a hometown legend. The Bulls are signaling that they don't know what they're doing. Again, not that this is necessarily them not knowing what they're doing, because this is me making the pick for them. If they were making this pick, they'd pick probably the worst option they possibly could find. But I'm going to take Matas Buzelis at number 11 to the Bulls, and you'll say, Josh, Buzelis is going to go higher than this, and I agree, he will, but that's not the point of this exercise. It's not me predicting where they go. It's me trying to establish what the value of these players is. Buzelis I go back and forward on. Weak side, rim protection, really good strength. Nice size as a 4. Shot horribly. But I also, just as I was starting to record this, saw some stuff on Buzelis of him talking about how he was a shooter and he shot well at every level apart from last season. And he just had a bad shooting season. Like, okay, is he a shooter? What if he actually turns into a shooter who can defend and can dribble and work a little bit with the ball in his hands? Not that he's a passer or a huge passer or anything like that, but what if that actually comes true? And the whole G League Ignite situation was terrible. It was a bad environment. Losing every game by 1 million points, players playing in the same position and taking each other's roles. It was bad. So what if Buzelis actually can shoot? So I'm probably, I think I'm going to reassess this one for Buzelis and probably end up putting him a little bit higher. To me, this is an absolute no-brainer for the Bulls because they have like one player who can defend on that team, and the player is Odosumu. And like, how actually good at defense is he? Like they cannot defend at all. I'm not saying Buzelis as a rookie forward is going to be able to defend, but you got to at least get somebody in there with some of that. So yeah, he has to go here, and he's not going to be available here on the real life draft night. And I think when I do my final list, he will end up being a little higher. At pick number 12, it is the same pick that I had last time. It's Superman, Kal-El Ware, going to the Thunder at number 12. Ware is athletic. He could be the backup center behind Chet. He could play next to Chet at times. He can rebound, he can run, he can jump, he can block shots. I think he might be able to shoot a little bit. Maybe. We'll see. Not fully convinced. Maybe. But I think that there's so much discussion about the Thunder. They need bigs, they need rebounds. They'll offer big contracts to Nick Claxton, or they'll try and get Isaiah Hartenstein, who honestly would be perfect. All right, maybe they do all that. But there are certain guys that they have no interest in. And to me, Claxton's one of them. Like, he's not the player that they want or need. They want a guy who can pass and move and be athletic and switch and shoot. And I think Ware, and the other guy that I've debated here is Kyle Filipowski, even though he's got some wingspan issues, but he does all those things as well. So if they are getting a center, they want somebody who can do those things, I believe. And I think that makes sense for their system. So I'm not doing this thinking what the Thunder will do. I'm trying to do what I think the Thunder need. And I think Ware, another really highly rated prospect before he came into college, I thought he showed plenty at Indiana this season to suggest that maybe this could work out for him. Let's hope. So that's 12 picks done. Let's recap the last 6. Number 7, I had Steph Castle going to the Blazers. Number 8, Rob Dillingham to the Spurs. Number 9, Donovan Clingan to the Grizzlies. Number 10, Isaiah Collier to the Jazz. 11 was Matas Buzelis going to the Bulls. And number 12 was Superman Kal-El Ware going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Do you want me to read this ad lib or like straight down the line? Let's go straight down the line. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. Now, that's what they wanted me to say. Here's what I'll tell you. FanDuel's got a great offer. irrespective of sportsing, through summer, there are fewer sports in the US. That is just a matter of fact. We've still got baseball. You've still got the WNBA. You've still got PGA Tour. I don't know if they have live golf on there. Maybe they do. Is live golf even still a thing? I don't know. There's NASCAR. It's still there, but what FanDuel is doing, because the NFL is not going, the NHL is done, the NBA is not there, there's no college football, there's no college basketball. What FanDuel is doing, which is great, they're hooking customers up with a boost or a bonus daily. Something for everyone, every day through the summer. So you're kicking back at a barbie, you're at a pool, and you're going, let's see what Caitlin Clark's up to. Are we going to have a look at the Fever? Are they going to win? Well, we can put that on over on FanDuel, and I'll use my boost. And there you go. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is also an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. And of course, don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay. It's draft time. Well, we're already through the draft. It's 4.0. Don't know if you know that. Let's catch up where... Well, no, I don't need to catch up because I just did the catch up. We're at pick 13. There's a player that you haven't seen go yet. And there's a reason, because I just don't know what the hell Zachary Ricochet is. I had him at 11 in my last mock. I've moved him down to 13. I know that he could go at number 1 and he could go at number 2. There's talk that the Wizards will take Sarr if he falls, but they'll debate Ricochet otherwise. The Hawks will go Ricochet or Klingon. I don't get it. I'm not... What am I seeing here? I've tried with Ricochet. Mate, yeah, okay, he's had some moments of shooting. He's 19, he's 6'9", that's all a real W. He averaged 19 and 6 per 40 minutes in the French League, which is good. And he played a role, that's cool. Played 23 minutes a night. 22 usage, don't really hold the usage against him in an environment like this. He took a lot of threes, that's good, he got to line, that's all solid. A horrendous passer, like a massive negative assist-to-turnover ratio. One of the players that you watch and you go, oh man, he's there? Like, you don't see him. He disappears. You play him in his age group games, French team stuff, and you see him get cooked by a million guys. Izzy Almansa cooked him. He plays on his team, and guys like, there are other players like Salan and Sarr who look way better. If I was honestly, I'm getting to this stage, and this is not an honest mock draft, but I'm trying to give benefit of the doubt to a lot of other people and prospects, but if I was just going to go based on what I see with him, 23, 24, I don't... What am I getting here? Late career Nick Batum is best case scenario? I love Nick Batum, but late career Nick Batum, Clippers Nick Batum. Is that what I'm taking at pick 1? Is that what I'm taking in the lottery? I don't get it. I do not get it. Maybe he shoots. Maybe he defends. Maybe. He doesn't pass. He's not high usage. I do not get it. So congrats, Kings. There you go. You're going to have him at number 13. Finishing off the lottery. I'm all over the place on this guy as well, and I think I have overcorrected because I have had the dildo at number 14, John Furphy, the whole way through, and I don't today. I have Cody Williams, but I actually don't feel good about it. Cody Williams is obviously Jalen Williams' brother. But so what? I don't think they really play anything alike. I had Jalen Williams, I believe I had him in the lottery when I did that mock draft at that point, and really caught on to the buzz that he was getting and loved him as a prospect. I think there are times, as I've mentioned, that he gets a little overrated in his NBA career, Jalen, but Kobe's stuff is nothing like Jalen Williams. Nothing. A guy that doesn't generate defensive events. He shot well, yeah, but it was unsustainable. He hurt his ankle. He came back. He shot poorly. Which one of them is real? He's a low-usage wing on a team that's not particularly good, who can't get by with his defense, even though he's one of the players I think, and again, I've got him at 14, but I'm not convinced with this, where I look at Cody Williams, and he's going to go high. There are talks he might go in the top 5, and I just, again, do not see it. I think he's got the body. He's got the shape. There you go. He should be a really good defender, man. Look, he's long. He should be doing these things. He's going to be a shooter. But I'm not sure that ever comes outside of perceived reputation. Because it's not reputation based on what he's done. It's perceived reputation. Yeah, he shot well. Absolutely. In a really small sample size. But I worry that a little bit like Ricochet, he just gets lost. Positionality gives him a boost, and that's why I boosted him up here. But I think I'm going to push him back down. Honestly, I'm not fully feeling it. Not fully feeling it. The 15th guy, Miami, outside the lottery. I didn't have this guy here last time. I had him a couple of spots lower. I'm taking Jared McCain. Now, McCain is a little bit on the shorter side. He's a little older for a freshman. He's 20. To me, he seems like a W sort of a guy. But he's also got an argument to be the best or second best shooter in this class. The Heat need shooting. The Heat need guards. And that's what he brings. 55% three-point attempt rate, not a high usage player. Played at Duke. Great free throws. Great three-point shooter. Could be the best shooter in the class. Fills a position of need. I think I've been a little bit too low on McCain in previous outings. I do worry about the defense. I do worry about the size. I think Miami has the ability to be able to deal with some of those issues. Now, him and Tyler Hero together is not great. And there seems to be whispers every 5 minutes about Hero being moved. To be honest, I don't think that's accurate. But you do hear that all the time. But McCain, just that value of being an elite shooter and in a draft that's so weird, I'd like to find some outlier type skills. Going back to Donovan Clingan's probably why I had him at 9, because there is an outlier skill there. And that might be the best outlier skill of anybody in this class. Contrast with Ricochet and Cody Williams, where I don't know what's their outlier skill. It's probably nothing. It's just like across the board. Whereas McCain does have the outlier skill. It's like Rob Dillingham's got the outlier skill, the shot creation, the usage. McCain's got it as a shooter. Size is a worry, but I've got him going at number 15 to the Miami Heat. All right, so let's go on to pick number 16 now. And this is a guy that I have had continuously mocked at number 14. It is the dildo. It is John Furphy. And I'm putting him here at number 16 to the Sixers, who I do not expect to keep this pick. I think that I'm going to move Furphy back up. I don't think he's going to be a good fantasy player. He comes in as a low usage guy with no real huge way to be a big usage player. He had good steal numbers, but I'm not sure that happens in the NBA. But I think he's going to be a just very strong, very efficient, very solid shooter, cutter, finisher, role player. That's useful. It's not going to be great. He's not going to have outlier fantasy production. But I think he could be actually a pretty efficient scorer, one of the more efficient scorers in this draft class, even though he's doing it on low usage. He's not going to be a passer, really. He's still young. He's got size. I'm sorry, John. I think I did move you down a little bit too much. But yeah, it is tough to look at a guy with 17 usage and go, yeah, that's a good NBA player. It's in the NBA, sure. Coming out of college, not easy. You're taking a back seat to guys like Hunter Dickinson, I think it is, and Kevin McCullough. Somewhat understandable. But Furphy, and they're like 24 years old or whatever they are. Furphy, I think, is going to take a little bit of time to work through things and work into his role, but there is the building blocks there of a solid enough rebounding player, scorer, shooter, efficient guy. So I've got him there at number 16 overall to the Sixers, John Furphy. Now we move on to the Los Angeles Lakers, who I'm going to have select Bronny James. No, I'm not. At 17, I'm going to take Devin Carter for them. Last time I had Kyle Filipowski there. Carter I've moved back and forward on. I really like his defensive stuff. He's a very strong rebounder. He's got the familial ties. Dad played in the NBA, Anthony Carter, for a long time, which is I think Tom Haberstroh had the article yesterday, really good indicator for success. Having a dad or a brother that played in the NBA, I think maybe it was a dad, played in the NBA is a good sign of success. Father-son rule. But he's old. He's 22. His first few years weren't awesome. And I know that he shot the ball pretty well, but not me, but others have been burned by the Davion Mitchell effect. Bad shooter, bad shooter, bad shooter. Hey, look at this. He shot 40%. He's a great defender. Let's go. And literally, that's exactly what's happened with Devin Carter here. That does not mean that Devin Carter is going to follow the same path as Davion Mitchell, being at times unplayable. But it is a worry when you have one outlier good shooting season at age 22, and then we use that to say, well, look at that. He shoots, he defends. What more could you want? And I'm not against him. I think he's a solid enough player, but I go back and forth, and I worry that if the shooting isn't real, is it just former Providence point guard Chris Dunn, who is a much better prospect? So I've got Carter going to the Lakers at 17. Who knows whether D'Angelo Russell's going to be back? What can they rely on from Gabe Vincent? There's a million forwards. Just having some defense there with Russell and Reeves is important. And Dinwiddie, lol. I don't think we need to worry about that too much. Pick 18. I'm sticking with the pick that I had last time. And again, this is one where I'm just way off of everybody else. Because I see Trey Alexander in the 50s in some people's boards. I see him at 36 in some people's boards. I don't really know what they might be missing or what I'm seeing that doesn't exist. He's versatile. He can play that point guard. He can play at the 2. He honestly can play some minutes at the 3. He can shoot. He can hold usage. He can pass. He can get to the line. Okay, he shoots his free throws. I would love that if he was 6'6". Don't love that he's 21. Better if he was 19 or 20. But what am I missing that puts him in the 50s or 40s? For a team that's so desperate for shooting and a little bit of sort of guard work and flexibility, I love him here. Now, if this was the actual real-life Orlando Magic, and someone like Tijan Salan is still on the board, which he is in this mock, then they would take him because he's young and he's got long arms. We know what Weltman likes. Not that Trey's a short arm legend or anything like that, but he's not exactly the size that they usually go for. And I'm very well aware that there are players that I have not mentioned yet in this mock draft that are going to go in the top 10. Not the point of this. Not what the point of this is. Because go back and look at every top 10 drafted and you look at it and go, bro, how did he go in the top 10? Right? It's going to happen. So I had this pick the same the last time out, and I had pick number 19 to my Toronto Raptors the same as well. Because this is where I am going to take Tijan Salan. Now, Salan, I think there's a massive chance he's better than Zach Ricochet. I worry a little bit about him defensively. I love the size. He's got huge, broad shoulders. He's not yet 19. He's 6'9". I think he's going to be able to shoot. He took a lot of shots. He played at a lower level, Cholet. Free throw rate's pretty good. Like Ricochet, absolutely embarrassing assist-to-turnover ratio. At times, you watch him on defense and I go, I'm not. Has he played before? What's he doing? Where is he? Why is he not there? Now, the steal rate looks great. But that's not always an indicator of a good defender. Russell Westbrook, Rajon Rondo, James Harden, Luka Doncic. There are times when he just looks completely unplayable. And honestly, I think he might be unplayable for a few years in the NBA. And it might not ever work out. There is a plethora, love that word, of French wings in this draft. And we've got Ricochet. I've got Salan. You've got Dadier. Great name. There's another one. Who's on? Oh, Melvin Ajinça. There's a real chance. Someone else I'm missing there too, is there? No, that's it. There's a real chance that like Dadier and Ajinça end up the best two. It's unlikely, but I can't rule that out. So I'm just not that big on Ricochet or Salan here. So I've got Tijan going at 19 again. And I did the exact same thing that I did the last mock draft I did where I forgot to do the recap. So I was so excited to get in and talk about Tijan Salan. But let's look at the last 6 picks before that. 13 is Zach Ricochet going to the Kings. 14 was Cody Williams to the Blazers. 15, Jared McCain to the Heat. 16, we went with John Furphy to the Sixers. 17, Devin Carter to the Lakers. And 18, Trey Alexander to your Orlando Magic. At pick number 20. I'm well aware that this man is going to go in the top 10. I am well aware that some people want him to go in the top 5. I don't. Dalton Connect from Tennessee. Yes, Dalton Connect might be a late bloomer. Yes, he's a good shooter. Yes, he scored well in the SEC. I just don't care. I don't see it. He is 23, so he's older. He's 6'6". Can he actually play the 3, or is he a 2? Now, I could give consideration for him at 18 to the Magic if he can play the 2, because I think the shooting is going to be fine. But as we saw with Jordan Hawkins, with Grade A Dick, there's no guarantee that A, he shoots that well straight away, or B, he shoots that well ever in the NBA. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's a 35% shooter. And then what? Can't defend. Can't pass. Pretty good rebounder, but not elite. 6 rebounds per 40 minutes. Really bad number. Scored on really high usage and will never do that in the NBA. I don't see this as a high level upside play. I also am not even sure that he's a starter long term. I don't know that. He's just a player that I don't love. And that is just simple as that. No, it is not just because he is old, but that doesn't help. I look at what he does is usage scoring. And he will never do that in the NBA, is my opinion. He might be a spot-up shooter. And maybe that's it. But for Cleveland, getting some extra help on the wing, I think is important. But I have significant reservations about Connect, who I've got here at 20, which actually is a jump up from where I had him last time. So maybe I'm softening. I'm not. Maybe I am. I'm not. Pick 21, the Pelicans. I'm taking Kyle Filipowski here. Last time I had Filipowski at 17 to the Lakers. Initially, my first run through things, I had Filipowski in the top 10. I really liked him. And I still do. The problem I have is the measurements, the small wingspan. As a center, having a negative wingspan turns me off pretty significantly. I think he can pass and shoot and defend and protect the rim. Because he did all that at college. Whether he can do it in the NBA, those measurements do really scare me quite a bit. But if he can shoot and protect the rim, that is a perfect fit in the NBA next to Zion Williamson. Absolutely perfect. I would love that he was 7'2" and could shoot and protect the rim. That would be amazing. And he could pass. But he's not. He's 6'11", 7 foot with shoes on, which is big, but like negative wingspan. He can do a lot of different things. He's never going to be a 27 usage player like he was at Duke. But he can pass, shoot. He could pass, shoot, score, defend, protect the rim. Great combo. And I think as much as I've moved him down my board, he's one of those guys that's in the group of players that I think we might be overthinking. Him and Isaiah Collier and Ron Holland. I think we might be overthinking them. I think he might be better than or I've even given him credit for here. At 22, it's the Suns. We saw Drew Eubanks decline his player option, which to me suggests a couple of things. A, Eubanks thinks he had a good season, which he didn't. Or B, the Suns have said we're going in a different direction at backup center. We're going to pick someone at 22. And I think they should. And I think they should pick Deron Holmes if this is how it pans out now. If Keller Ware is there, that's the way you go. But I think they should pick Deron Holmes here. He's 22, he's 6'10". Incredibly high usage player, which is just not going to roll in the pros. But he can shoot. He can pass a little bit. He can protect the rim. He can defend okay on switches. Again, maybe overthinking this one a bit. And he could be in that mix at like 15 or 16 in that zone. I worry that a lot of the production comes on this high usage, which isn't going to carry across to the NBA. And he probably should have come out of the draft last year. But I think in terms of the fit in Phoenix, it makes quite a bit of sense. Big riser here for me is number 23, Jalen Tyson, going to the Bucks. I had Tyson towards the end of the first round. He's still pretty close towards the end here. But he's moving up. And again, if I look at this with pure aggression, I could move him ahead of Jared McCain into the pick 14 slot. I didn't have McCain at 14. I had Cody Williams. I could easily see Tyson going ahead of those guys. Tyson can pass, can rebound, can score, can shoot. He did so many things for Cal. He's got the size. He's 6'6". He's probably more of an off guard than a point guard. And again, he is rising pretty fast up my board. And I've got him here at this mock draft at 23 to the Bucks. But on my overall big board, he's up at 21 in tier 6, which pushes all the way up to number 18. So yeah, he is closing in. And honestly, like if I wanted to just throw out a lot of evaluations and just look sort of now at the way that I'm looking at things, again, because even my past evaluations have weight on what I view, how I view guys, I might have him top 12. I'm getting really interested in what Jalen Tyson can bring. Really, really interested. And then we go to the first of the New York Knicks picks at pick number 24. No idea whether they keep both of them. In fact, I think they probably don't. But these are the same picks that I had last time. Number 24, Jacoby Walter. There is a worry for me that Walter is the high usage, low efficiency guard that turns into maybe a Lonnie Walker, which I don't love as a player. But the size is there. Got some shooting ability for sure. He wasn't a super high usage guy at Baylor, which is actually a tick for me. Like, I don't want someone coming in as a 17 usage guy, but I don't want someone putting up numbers on 32 usage as a guard that's just never going to work in the NBA. And so Walter's able to do some things in a lower usage role. The passing, not really a thing. Defensively, some issues, and shot selection and issues for sure. But just a little bit of creation for the Knicks, I think, does make a bit of sense here. Let's move across now to recap the last 6 picks. At number 19, we did have Tijan Salan going to the Raptors. At 20, Dalton Connect to the Cavs. 21, Kyle Filipowski to the Pelicans. 22, Daron Holmes to the Suns. 23, I went with Jalen Tyson to the Bucks. And 24, of course, is Jacoby Walter going to the New York Knicks. And that brings us to the Knicks' next pick, which is the same as the one I had last time. That's 25, John Mogbo from San Francisco. Mogbo, I don't think will be able to develop into a shooter, because if I did think that, he would probably be in the top 15. A very strong rebounder, a high usage player at a low level college, or not a high usage player, averaged 20 and 14 per 40 minutes. But he averaged over 5 assists per 40 minutes, over 2 steals. Like, this is not a legit passing big man in the Nikola Jokic, Domantas Sabonis, Alperen Şengün mold, but a big man who can legitimately pass and can defend and can rebound. My worry is that he's completely undersized and his best offensive position is probably center, but he's 6'8". So I think that probably is what pulls him back somewhat. But as a pick 25, as a reserve forward who can do some interesting things. Now, under Tom Thibodeau, he's never going to be allowed to pass because that's how Thibodeau looks at these things. But I think his hustle and energy and all that sort of stuff makes a lot of sense on this Knicks team, who desperately needs forwards. And that's what Mogbo can be. Number 26, this is the same pick as I had last time as well. It's Zach Edey. And I very almost, not words. Well, they are words, but they don't go together. I almost moved him down. He will never be in a spot to have the usage that he did in college. He will never be a focal point of an offense. Never. And I worry that his defense just will not allow him on the court. Now, he is not Boban Marjanovic level of defense. He's not that. He can protect the rim okay. He can be a problem offensively, but he's just never going to get all those post touches, and he's not going to have a free throw rate of 81%. That's not free throw percentage, free throw rate, meaning that basically for every field goal attempt he took a free throw. That's not going to happen in the NBA. His passing still has some work. I don't think he's going to be a shooter, but he's got a better chance of being a shooter than Don Clingan. Don Clingan, what a name. The infatuation with Edey is real. I know that he started playing basketball a little bit late, and I know he's huge. Those things are indisputable facts. He just, to me, is not a player that I want to bank on to be a long-term, huge value play. But Wizards need a center. Could he be their starting center year one? Like, right, maybe. Could he put up good fantasy numbers? 100% yes. But long-term, I don't think that he is the guy that you want to anchor your team with. New entry into the mock draft at number 27. And yes, I realize that this graphic does have his name spelt incorrect. I apologize for that. Nikola Jurisic from Megabasket, a wing / point guard / point forward. I've got going to the Wolves at number 27. I did not have him in the first round last time. He's 20. He's 6'8". He's a wing. He can pass. He can score. The shooting is not bad. He hits his free throws. He gets to the line a lot. He probably had a chance to come out of the draft last year. He played really well at the combine. I think that this sort of a combination guy who is he's not Kyle Anderson, but I'm using Kyle Anderson because I've got him mocked to the Wolves here, as a replacement forward / point guard who can shoot, which Kyle can't. Now, I'm not saying Jurisic is the level of defender that Anderson is, because he's not. But a guy that can be a part-time point guard, shooting off-ball wing as well, I think is a pretty good combination. So I've moved him up to number 27. At number 28, it's the Denver Nuggets, and this is the man that I thought to jump ahead of Zach Edey, and it's Yves Missy. The problem I have with Missy is that there is absolutely no offensive ability to scale out his game. He's never going to shoot. He's probably going to be Clint Capella offensively. But from an athleticism point of view, it's fantastic. My other problem with him is his wingspan is not very big. He's not sitting there with a 7'6" wingspan. I think he's at 7 foot tall with 7'2", which is very low for a big man. But he's supremely athletic. He's a great rebounder. He protects the rim well. He's not going to shoot, ever. He's not going to do anything more than dunk. But we also know from fantasy, these sort of guys can be really valuable. Missy probably takes a year or two. Again, I'm going to compare this guy a lot to Clint Capella, because Capella, drafted in the 20s, did nothing. His first year. He played like 5 games. And then the second year, he was basically in as a 20-minute a night guy. Then year 3, he was off and he was a starter. And I could really see that happening with Missy. Limited upside because of the offense, but does what he does. Rebounder, finisher, alley-oop guy, pick and roll guy, defender. Just wish he had longer arms. Number 29, the Utah Jazz, their second pick of the draft. I last time had Tristan da Silva in this spot, but I have taken da Silva out of the first round. And I've got Pacome Dadier, the other French wing, or one of the other French wings. Dadier is one of the youngest players in the draft. He's a 6'8 wing. He played for Ratio Farm Ulm in Germany. Not a high usage guy, but 19 usage is not terrible in that league as a young player. He only played 15 minutes a night. He took a lot of threes. He gets to the line, not bad. 17 and 6 and with 1.5 steals per 40 minutes are okay numbers given the context of where he played. I think there are times again where I'm not really sure that he even really understands where to be on the court, but I'm also not investing a top 2 pick in a player like that, or even a top 10 pick, as the case may be with Salan. And in Utah, they need forwards, they need wings. He would probably get run towards the end of the year, but he's got plenty of time to sit and develop, and I think he's going to be able to shoot and work on, understanding the game. And Will Hardy's a great coach, so that's a W there as well. And lastly, big riser here. Last time I had Ulrich Chomchi at number 30, and I've taken Chomchi out of my first round. I still really believe in Chomchi. I've just moved this other guy ahead. I could easily put Chomchi back in. But Jalen Wells to Boston at 30. Now, I don't think Boston keeps this pick. Jalen Wells, Washington State. You may not have even heard of him. We did a prospect profile on him on the show. But he shoots. And he shoots really well. And he's got wing size. He's not yet 21, so he's a little older, but he's not super old. He's 6'8". He just shoots. This is what he does. He fits in. You can start him. He can come off the bench. He can score a bit. Defensively, the defensive numbers are horrific. Right? They're really bad. But at this point, give me a provable skill. And I think Wells' shooting is that. Size, shooting, pick 30. What the hell else do you want? That meant that 2 players moved out of the first round for me. Tristan da Silva and Ulrich Chomchi moved out of the first round, and Nikola Jurisic and Jalen Wells moved in. That is the first. That is the mock draft done. That is the first round mock draft done. Let's go and recap everything that happened. Number 1, top 5 was actually unchanged from last time. Number 1, Alex Sarr. Number 2, Ron Holland. Number 3, Reed Sheppard. 4, Topic to San Antonio. 5, Tyler Smith. And 6, Bub Carrington was where the first change came in. Number 7 was Steph Castle to Portland. Number 8, I went with Rob Dillingham to San Antonio. 9, Don Klingon to Memphis. 10 is Collier to the Jazz. 11, Bazalis to the Bulls. And 12 is Khalil Ware to the Thunder. At number 13 is Ricochet to the Kings. Number 14 is Cody Williams to the Blazers. 15, Jared McCain, you've done it again, to the Heat. 16 is John Furphy, the dildo, to the Philadelphia 76ers. 17 is Devin Carter. 18 is Trey Alexander to the Orlando Magic. Number 19 is Tijan Salan to the Raptors. Number 20 is Dalton Connect to the Cavs. 21 is Kyle Filipowski to the Pelicans. 22, Dayron Holmes to the Suns. 23, Jalen Tyson to the Bucks. 24, Jacoby Walter to the Knicks. 25 is Jonathan Mogbo going to the Knicks there as well. Number 26 is Zach Edey to the Wizards. 27, Nikola Jurisic to the Wolves. 28, Eve Missy to the Nuggets. 29 is Pacome Dadier to the Jazz. And number 30 is Jalen Wells to the Boston Celtics. And that is it for the mock draft 4.0. 4.1 is coming in a couple of days, but tomorrow Kevin Pelton is here to talk about his draft stats model, the challenges, the wins, the misses, the hits, the losses, all that sort of stuff, and guys that he is high on, or his model is high on, guys that his model is low on. And there are some very interesting names in there. And very interesting to me is that some of the guys that I'm higher on and lower on the consensus, Pelton's model ended up agreeing with. So we're going to discuss those guys, and he's going to give me a proverbial Dutch writer of how good I am. Nah, he's not. But we're going to talk about those players. Well, he might. I don't know what he's going to say yet. We'll talk about those players and the model and the stats in general. It's going to be a fun discussion. Guys, we are done here. Thank you. Actually, before we're done, you know what to do. I want thumbs. So give me one of them. Give me two of them. We're good. Guys, we're done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.